Welcome back, my fellow glitchers, to another amazing episode brought to you by GameGlitches. And in today's episode, we're going to take a look at the new special equipment vendor and all of the vendor resets that just recently happened few moments ago. Right here, as you guys could see, I'm located by the special vendor at the bottom of the base of operations. So let's quickly take a look at what all of these vendors have and if you should even waste your time. Right here we have Valkyria. Quiet shed talents, determined, competent, and responsive. Kind of okay, but I'm not really a big fan of Valkyrie at all, and considering the fact that it has a low damage output, I would say it's crap, not a waste of time. Liberator is seems to be decent at best, but not for the price of 1248. Historian again is this time around has okay kind of base bullet damage, I would say, but honestly has crap talents. Out of 9, 3R. This one is also not really worth it, kind of on the low end. The P19 with commanding, capable, and hurried is decent, but again, these talents is not something that I would go for simply because it would require so much electronics, and then I would want to re-roll these talents into something else. Now right here we have a lightweight M4. This time around it actually has amazing rolls. It has dominant, vicious, and destructive, as you guys could see here. Vicious and destructive, in my opinion, are two incredible talents, especially destructive, which is top talent right now in the entire division and completely worth it. Vicious is still incredibly good, even though it's not as good as it used to be. It's definitely worth the buy. I mean, this weapon, considering the fact that they had, you could play this game for free for some time, check it out. If you saved enough Phoenix credit, this weapon out of everything is definitely worth it. Dominant ability, every kill performed while signature skill is active, is actually not bad, but I would honestly replace it with something else because of simply that it uses so much electronics. As you guys could see here, 3832. That's a little bit way too much electronics in my opinion to be used. So there's other talents that you can incorporate instead that are much better. Now let's take a look at the rest of the weapons that we have right here. Then we have ourselves a double barrel sort of shotgun with vicious, sustained, and swift. This one actually is not bad if you're going for, if you're still a shotgun fan and you're going for those, shotgun talents and stuff like that. This is definitely nice to have with a vicious, sustained, and swift with alpha bridge. You know what? Why not? It definitely works. But 1248 is a little bit of a steep of a price. I don't know if I would pay that much for it, but in any case, we have our M700 tactical with decent bullet damage, but again with quite crap talents, so honestly not worth the 1248. Then we got our M249B right here, ladies and gentlemen, with a self-preserved, meticulous, and prepared. Since the last patch, light machine guns, even though they became much better, they still not as good as other weapons compared to assault rifles such as lightweight M4. It will definitely outperform, especially if you're running Alpha Bridge and combine it with a decent FAMAS or some other weapon. It's all depends on one's playstyle. Who am I to judge how you want to play your game? In any case, let's get on with the show. Right here we have tactical mask. None of this is honestly worth it. I'm quite disappointed this time around. Now, we have Lone Star Hunter's Faith, Firecrest, Deadeye. Even though Deadeye got decent armor this time around, but it is rolled into electronics, which kind of, you would have to re-roll it, but it doesn't have such a bad armor roll, which still already makes it quite nice. Now, let's take a look at the rest of the gear. Now we have ourselves backpacks right over here. None of these Lone Star, honestly, it's not bad if you're looking, I guess, for pure electronics based on skill power based backpack. I mean, like, seriously, like, 1245 and or 12 to 11 and a half thousand skill power. Now, Hunter Faith, Firecrest, a Deadeye backpack, kind of all seems to be on the low end, even though that the Deadeye, if you would re-roll it out of electronics, seems to be quite nice and has a decent armor roll, so you might not need to re-roll into armor. I mean, everybody, nowadays I re-roll everything into armor. To have armor is a pain in the ass to have, and is quite vital to survival within the game. Then we have also Sentry Call, and we have our frontline knee pads that are actually quite good. I would highly recommend, if you're looking for frontline armor, these knee pads are actually very nice. You could definitely re-roll that exotic damage. It's, take it out, put some armor on it, and it actually could be quite interesting and quite a decent piece. Especially for the price of 832, and in the time that you have, it shouldn't be that hard to obtain it. Now we have right here Tactician's Authority, which is, to each its own. Holster Nomad, Predator's Mark, Alpha Bridge. This one seems to be like completely in what the fuck, like pistol and electronics. Like, the RMG must have been freaking stoned tonight or drunk. Well, it is New Year's, it is New Year's, so people do crazy things. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think of my new plunger right here? This plunger is quite amazing. I decided to get myself a plunger. In our last broadcast, we had ourselves a butcher knife. I felt that it's a little intimidating. I figured we'd get all the shit out of Division with this plunger. But, plunger. In any case, let's continue on. Right here we have High Velocity magazine, which is actually not bad. If you're looking to put it into that FAMAS, we have Omega Rifle Suppressor. We have Hand Stop. This one, which one I was looking? This one is not bad, but again, if you're willing to put it into something because it has 2% accuracy, that won't jeopardize it at all. But honestly, this scope and none of this stuff is really, none of it is honestly worth it. Like, it's quite awful, except for literally one weapon that they have. It seems that every week they always have like that one thing that doesn't fully suck. Like, this lightweight M4 is definitely so far the winner out of this entire category. Now, let's take a look at our next merchant. Now, right here, I am located at our advanced weaponry vendor. Sorry about that. Well, in any case, right here we have our Pacan. This time around, Pacan is actually not bad at all. It has quite a decent roll on the damage. It has Swift, Destructive, and Ferocious. Destructive and Ferocious I consider quite important talent, especially if you're doing quite a lot of PvE. Considering the fact that Ferocious, everything is yellow and elite. Let's face it, you don't really fight that many purples. And if you do, purples will literally die as quick as possible. So, that is definitely not a problem at all. Swift in this case in Pacan is quite valuable. I noticed that Pacan does reload at times quite slow. And under here we have Destructive. Destructive is, again, as I mentioned previously, is one of the most important talent because everything relies right now so heavily on armor. So if you're looking to get something and you don't want to spend Phoenix credits, you could definitely spend yourself 1.6 million regular credits, which is actually not that much at all, and get yourself a decent Pacan. Cassidy this time around completely sucks, no other words really for it. It's really quite a shitty weapon. Anyways, we got Centurion with a nice damage, but it's more of intense and provident and expert. I would honestly recommend this weapon to be used if you're chasing down people so they can't run. But otherwise, from that, for 1.6 million credits, you could find so much better out in the world. Now we got Snub Nose of Rhino with 28k. The Snub Nose Rhino has Expert and Sustain. Again, for the price that it is, I honestly would not get it at all. We have a Navy MP5 with Competent, Vicious, and Dominant, which is not bad. I mean, if you don't have the Phoenix credits to get yourself the lightweight M4, you could definitely get yourself something along this line. You know, 1.6 million shouldn't be an issue, but honestly, I would just save up the Phoenix credits. This time around, the Assault Rifle Military P416 is definitely not bad. It has some very nice talents. You know, you could definitely self-preserved, deadly, and then you could re-roll commanding into something else that you prefer, considering it's a constantly active talent. You know, it has two nice talents that you could literally implement with your other weapon if you don't have a good secondary while running Alpha Bridge. Again, this is just a suggestion. Everybody plays different. I swear to God, everybody plays different. In any case, then we have the SAS G12 with Brutal, Responsive, and Destructive. This one is, again, not bad, but after the last patch, I'm not a real big fan of shotguns anymore. So, yeah. I don't know, I wouldn't really get it or pay this money. M700 Tactical sucks as usual, not even worth losing time. Then we have ourselves classical M60 right here with Accurate, Competent, and Commanding. Honestly, for 1.6 million, no. This raccoon says don't get it. It's crap. In any case, now we have our quick release magazine. You know, for this price, why not? You know, we have our Osprey 40.45 suppressor. We have our small grip. Honestly, none of this stuff would work really well because of if you're going Alpha Bridge and FAMAS, this stuff has accuracy and stability. I mean, you could have, of course, a little bit of accuracy, a little bit of stability, so you don't take away that much from the talent, but trying to get around it as much as possible is the key. Well, alright, now let's move on to our next merchant. Just a quick stop by at the appearance vendor, you know, because he resets and adds new stuff. In case you didn't know, today he has a casual jacket moss color, you know, and a winter gator red. I tend to collect constantly from them every day as possible, so I figured I would throw this one in there. Now, checking out the rest of the Dark Zone vendors, none of them seem to have even anything remotely useful, at least, you know, in my opinion. Right here we have DZ6, the last vendor, that seemed to have somewhat decent stuff, and you have to understand, when I say compared to what I've seen, this is decent. You know, maybe, you know, some people have their own playstyle, but I honestly did not find any of the items they're useful, and wasting your time seemed to be dumb. In any case, so let's get on with it. All of the only item here that I actually would have recommended or suggest would be the Frontline holster. This holster is actually not bad. It has quite decent rolls, and for the price of 277,000 Dark Zone credits, it's actually not bad whatsoever. You know, it's kind of worth it. I mean, compared to everything else that's in the Dark Zone, we kind of really did get the, you know, the shit roll this week. I mean, seriously, what the fuck, Division? You couldn't guys even, like, give us better rolls for, like, Happy New Year or some shit like that? No. We gotta give you guys crap. Oh well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The only item that seems to be worth it this whole reset would be the lightweight M4. Everything else seems to be total freaking crap, and don't waste your time on it. Don't waste our time or money, or honestly, that's the only thing I would get if I would need it. But everything else seems to be a total waste. If you enjoyed this nice little episode, ladies and gentlemen, I would have really appreciated if you click like, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, because I do these constantly and every week if they're kind of anything worth it. Why waste your time when you could just quickly watch a video and not risk your life or run around looking through things, see even if they're worth it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you also have a wonderful new year. Don't do anything too crazy that this raccoon wouldn't do, which leaves quite a little few things that you shouldn't do, So have fun, be safe, and enjoy the new wonderful new year. Hopefully it'll bring you more love and excitement and everything that you desire that this year completely lacked. Thank you all again, and have a wonderful new year.